They say, be honest, be transparent. Let people see the real you. But what they don't tell you is this: the more people know you, the easier you are to manipulate. The world doesn't reward raw truth, it exploits it. They use your words as evidence. They store your feelings as leverage. They pretend they care, but they're taking notes. Machiavelli never told you to be honest with everyone. He told you to be smart, strategic, ruthless when needed. In a world where exposure is currency, the most valuable thing you can do is protect your inner world like a fortress. What you share becomes a tool for someone else, and what you hide becomes your weapon. These 5 secrets are not random. They are your psychological armor. Keep them buried, or you'll pay the price. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. What they don't know, they can't control. Number 1, never reveal how far you're willing to go. People are obsessed with your boundaries, not because they respect them, but because they want to know how close they can get before you break. The moment you define your limits, you give them a blueprint of your control panel. You say, I'd never cut someone off. And they slowly start to drain your energy, test your patience, and push the edge, knowing you won't walk away. You say, I'll never retaliate no matter what, and suddenly you become the easy target. They act with arrogance, not courage, because you already told them you won't fight back. That's not noble, that's exposure. And in a world ruled by strategy, exposure is suicide. See, people don't fear who's kind. They fear who's unreadable. They fear the one who smiles but leaves the consequences up to imagination. That uncertainty, it messes with people's heads. It keeps them in check. But when you define your breaking point, you hand them the exact coordinates to start chipping away at your self-respect. You make their job easy. Your boundaries stop protecting you and start guiding them. So, stop explaining what you would or wouldn't do. Stop giving disclaimers. Let your silence be the warning. Let your unpredictability be the answer. You don't need to threaten anyone. You don't need to tell them what happens if they cross you. That's emotional weakness, disguised as communication. Real power is when they think twice before disrespecting you, not because you've made a scene before, but because they have no idea what you're capable of. That's the kind of fear that keeps people cautious. Not terror, uncertainty. The kind that keeps their actions clean, not because they respect you, but because they fear making the wrong move. Fear of consequences they can't see is more paralyzing than 1,000 angry speeches. There's a reason Machiavelli said, the lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. You must be the man who plays both sides. You don't look dangerous. You look thoughtful, composed. But deep inside, there's a predator calculating silently, and no one knows when he'll act, or how far he'll go. That's how you dominate without raising your voice. You don't show rage, you control it. You don't declare your methods, you deploy them when it matters. Never tell someone how far you're willing to go, because the truth is, even you don't fully know. And that's what makes you dangerous. Let your calm be the storm they didn't prepare for. Let your mystery be the warning that echoes louder than any threat. Because in this world, the ones who speak of their limits often become victims of them. But the ones who stay silent, they become legends of consequence. Number 2, never reveal who influences you. There's a reason people ask you, who inspires you? It seems like innocent curiosity, but it's not. It's a strategic probe. They want to uncover what shapes your thoughts, Because once they know who you admire, they'll study them, mimic them, or worse, use them to manipulate you. If they know what type of mind you absorb, they'll feed you versions of it that benefit them. They'll twist the voice in your head into something they control. The moment you say, "This person shaped my thinking," you become easier to predict. They start watching your next move, expecting it to mirror someone else's. And if you fall out of line, they criticize you by comparing you to the person you once praised. But your idol would never do that. They'll say, "Suddenly, your individuality is chained to someone else's shadow." That's how influence becomes a cage, if you expose it. But when you keep that door locked, when no one knows who whispers in your ear, you become a mystery they can't decode. You move in silence, grow in directions they didn't expect, and evolve without permission. You become something they can't label, and people fear what they can't define. Your influences should shape you, not brand you. You don't owe anyone an explanation for who inspired your rise. The names you study, the minds you follow, they are sacred, hidden blueprints that make you dangerous. The moment you give up those names, you give up the map. And once they see your map, they know where you're headed. Worse, they'll start placing roadblocks before you arrive. Let your moves speak. Let your victories hint at influence, but never confirm it. A man who reveals his sources reveals his blueprint. A man who doesn't, he becomes a force of his own. Machiavelli once said, "A wise man ought always to follow the paths beaten by great men, and to imitate those who have been supreme." And he was right, but he never said to broadcast which paths you're walking. That's where most people fail. They confuse influence with identity. And when their idols fall, so do they. You can learn from everyone and still belong to no one. That's real power. Quiet influence, absorbed in silence, applied without credit. That way, if you're ever questioned, you don't owe answers. You become the original. You become the source. And here's the truth most people never learn. Once they can name your influences, they can imitate your power. But if they can't trace your roots, they can't replicate your tree. They see the fruit, they feel the shade, but they have no idea how deep the roots go. And that's the kind of man they fear. A man whose mind has been sharpened in the dark by voices they'll never hear. Number 3, never reveal your daily habits. Your daily habits are windows into your mind, and the moment someone sees the pattern, they start building traps. You think routines are harmless, a sign of discipline, proof that you're focused. But discipline, when exposed, becomes a roadmap. And roadmaps are made to be followed, intercepted, or hijacked. The more visible your structure is, the easier it is for people to manipulate you. You post that you run every morning at 6. Now they know exactly where you'll be and when you're mentally locked into routine. You always check your phone late at night. Now they wait until you're tired to send messages that provoke, distract, or manipulate. The very structure you built to become stronger turns into a script they can exploit. That's not efficiency. That's vulnerability disguised as consistency. Understand this. Predictability is a weakness, especially in a world where attention is currency and distraction is a weapon. When people know your rhythm, they'll sync with it, not to support you, but to sabotage you. They'll call when you're most available. They'll argue when you're most tired. They'll show up when your guard is down, not because they're smart, but because you gave them the code. There's a reason shadows exist: movement without pattern, activity without trace. Your habits should be private. Your schedule should be unpredictable. You can be consistent without being obvious. Wake early today, sleep late tomorrow. Train in silence. Respond when it's least expected. Move like static, always active, never readable. Let them try to track you and fail. Let your absence feel calculated. Let your silence feel strategic. Power comes from not being found in the same place twice. When people can't predict you, they can't prepare for you. They start guessing, they lose timing, they miscalculate. And every miscalculation they make is an advantage you gain. Machiavelli once said, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally." The fool sticks to his routine out of comfort. The wise man adapts before the routine becomes a cage. Because the moment others see your pattern, they stop seeing a person, they see a machine. And machines can be hacked. Erase the trail, break the rhythm. Eat at 6 today, skip it tomorrow. Show up unannounced, leave without warning. Make your timing your weapon. Make your inconsistency their frustration. And when they try to figure you out, let them realize they're chasing smoke. Because when no one can trace your daily rhythm, you become more than strategic. You become dangerous, unreadable, untouchable, a force without a pattern. And in the game of power, that's exactly who they fear the most. The man who never moves the same way twice. Number 4. Never reveal what you've forgiven. People love to tell you that forgiveness makes you noble, that letting go makes you stronger. But the world doesn't operate on noble ideals. It operates on pressure, leverage, and perception. And when someone knows what you've forgiven, they gain all three. Think about it. The moment you make it clear that you let something slide, a lie, a betrayal, a public humiliation, they study that reaction. They clock it. Not to appreciate your mercy, but to test how far they can push next time. You didn't call them out. You must be soft. You didn't retaliate. They assume you won't. Forgiveness becomes ammunition, not for you, but for them. And every time you show your tolerance, you draw the borders of your weakness. But silence is lethal. When you don't reveal what you've let go, they're left wondering, did he forgive me, or is he just waiting? That doubt, that gnawing uncertainty, is far more terrifying than open anger. Because you haven't given them closure, you've left the wound open. And now, every move they make is haunted by what they think you might do next. Forgiveness should be private, not because you're bitter, but because power doesn't live in making people comfortable, it lives in making them cautious. You don't owe them emotional clarity. You don't need to prove that you've healed. Healing doesn't mean exposure, it means control. And control means never giving away the state of your internal battlefield. Let them believe you've moved on. Let them laugh, thinking you've forgotten. Meanwhile, you've adjusted your approach, shifted your proximity. Watch them from a new angle. The enemy who thinks he's safe is the easiest one to neutralize, not because he's weak, but because he's off guard. Machiavelli once said, "Injuries must be inflicted all at once, so that their ill savor may be lessened by their being tasted but once." Forgiveness in this world is the mirror image of that injury. But if you expose your forgiveness too early, if you speak it, you soften the memory of the offense. And when offenses lose their sting, they get repeated. Let the people around you live with that quiet tension. Did he let it go? Or is he just biding his time? That's how you become untouchable. You don't react with noise. You don't explain. You just adjust. And when the time is right, you act. Not out of revenge, but precision. Not emotionally, but surgically. Forgive internally. Strategize externally. Never mix the two. Because once they know your threshold for betrayal, they'll start walking right up to the edge. But if you hide that threshold completely, no one dares approach it. Uncertainty is control. Silence is pressure. And a man who forgives without speaking it aloud He becomes a storm they can't predict, a reckoning they never see coming. Number 5. Never reveal what you're still healing from. Pain is human. We all carry it, some from childhood, some from betrayal, some from battles no one else will ever understand. But in a world driven by control, manipulation, and silent warfare, pain isn't just pain, it's intel. And the moment you reveal where it lives inside you, you give people the key to your mind. You say you're still healing from abandonment. Someone will test your fear of being alone. You open up about trust issues. Someone will promise loyalty just to break it later, and watch how you unravel. They don't do it because they're evil. They do it because human nature is opportunistic. When people sense weakness, they either avoid it or exploit it. And if they can't feel your wounds, they don't know how to move around you. That confusion keeps you in power. Never let them trace your pain. Once they know what hurt you, they start watching you like a specimen, testing your reactions, poking at triggers, gauging which words sting and which silences shake you. What was once your story becomes their strategy. Your vulnerability becomes their script, and you become readable, predictable, breakable. But when they don't know what damaged you, when they can't see where the cracks are, they assume there are none. That's not denial, that's defense. You don't deny your history. You just stop offering it to people who haven't earned it. You don't owe anyone a roadmap to your past just because they ask with soft eyes. Not everyone wants to understand. Some just want leverage. Machiavelli once said, "He who builds on the people builds on mud." That includes building your healing on the sympathy, validation, or perception of others. You don't need their understanding. You don't need them to know what you've survived. You don't need their applause for walking through hell. You need one thing: silence. The kind of silence that protects you while you rebuild, that shields you while you grow sharper, stronger, colder. The kind of silence that makes your enemies guess and fear what they cannot see. Because healing is sacred. It's not theater. It's not conversation. It's war. Quiet, personal war. And when you come out of it, you don't announce it. You walk back into the world as if you were never wounded to begin with. You move with the confidence of someone who built themselves in the dark and came out forged in fire. Let the world meet you when you're whole. Let them wonder what made you this calm, this collected, this unshakable. Never hand them your pain and expect protection. Hide it, heal in silence, and return as someone no one ever expected, because they never saw the cracks to begin with. The world we live in thrives on noise. Everyone's talking, posting, confessing, as if visibility equals power. But what they don't realize is this: the more they reveal, the easier they are to break. Every honest update, every emotional post, they're laying out the blueprint of their destruction. And while they chase validation, you've chosen a different weapon: silence. You don't speak for attention. You move in shadows, because that's where real power lives. You're not unreadable because you're lost. You're unreadable because you're in control. Every unanswered question about you is a wall they can't climb. They can't predict you, can't prepare for you, can't control what they can't understand. Machiavelli understood this. He knew that strategy isn't about showing strength. It's about making people guess where it lives. That's who you've become now. A ghost in the room, a storm behind calm eyes. They'll see you smile and never know what it means. They'll hear your silence and feel pressure they can't name. They'll try to understand you and fail. That failure, that's your power. So if this video hit something deep, if it reminded you who you are and what you're capable of, then it's time to move different. Like the shadow, like the force no one saw coming. Subscribe to the channel right now. Tap the like button so others can find this too. And most importantly, keep your mouth shut and your mind sharp. From now on, you don't chase influence. You become the force that moves without being seen. The game isn't about being known. It's about being untouchable. And you are becoming unstoppable.